Welcome to episode 65 of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Sense, and today we delve into the dramatic arts here in Calumet County as we discuss the upcoming production season of the Chilton School District's vibrant performing arts programs and why these programs are a great reason to travel to Chilton to take in a performance and enjoy the amenities of Calumet County to make it a total evening experience. Joining me for this episode are Charlotte Deehr to talk about the Chilton High School musical production of The Little Mermaid, and to talk about Trunk or Treat at Chilton Elementary School, which I find very interesting and I'm looking forward to hearing about. Jenie Farrell, who is a second-time guest on the show, or third actually, because we did a two-part episode the first time, and she's here to discuss the Engler Center for the Performing Arts student leadership's production of the play Cabin Chronicles, and also to talk through ticketing and community development opportunities here. Kim Tiegs joins us to share about the Chilton Elementary School's musical production of 101 Dalmatians KIDS. Addie Hansen and Michelle Cohan from Chilton Middle School are here to discuss the musical production of Matilda Jr. And Aaron Jewell from the district's music area to discuss the productions and the role music will play in them all. Welcome to the show, everyone, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right. From your perspectives, why do arts matter? I mean, I know they're important personally, but from your perspectives, I'd like to hear why you think the arts matter, and how does theater and music enhance creativity, confidence, and community? And Kim, I'm going to pick on you first because I'm looking right at you.
I strongly feel that a love and nurturing of the arts really helps a child with their social emotional needs. There's so many things that we do in the arts that allow them to really express themselves in a different light, in a different way, that they may not be able to do regularly in their environment at home or at school or what have you not. So I really think that's really important for them overall, for their overall being. I think the other thing that I really appreciate from the experience in the arts is their ability to really learn lifelong skills, responsibility, work ethic, rigor, all of those things, stick-to-itiveness when things get hard or you don't get a part that you want, staying with it and seeing how that perseverance can pay off in the long run. I think these are all things that help our students as they grow and then continue to carry on their everyday life. I think about my experience in the arts. I'm Calumet, born and raised as well, and those opportunities that I had really helped me be the person and teacher I am today.
And I have to ask, since you brought it up, have you performed on stage here?
Not here. No? I'm a brilliant native.
Okay.
So
you've been at the wonderful center over there
yes.
as well. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And Aaron, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I think participation in the arts and music is an obvious confidence builder for kids. Just to step on stage here and perform in front of a crowd takes a fair amount of confidence from our kids. My own upbringing, I wasn't lucky enough to be at a district that had the sort of facilities and programming and staff as we do here. You got to be careful not to take it for granted that we are able to have these opportunities for our kids. I also think it is a great community builder. Music and theater are like communal activities, right? You're communicating emotion, feeling, and those things draw everyone in, and you create a common feeling amongst the performers and the connection with the audience.
Addie, what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
The one thing that I really do like about the arts is that it has kids to be creative and use their own imagination rather than sticking to like a strict syllabi, for example. So like 1 + 1 is 2. If you add red and blue, it makes purple. It's just how it is. But when it comes to the arts and music, kids get to collaborate with one another. They get to try new things, and if it crashes and burns, it's okay because they'll find a new way to do it. That's just the one thing I really like, is that they get to bring their ideas rather than us always having to say something.
Charlotte, what would you say?
I feel like so many of the things that I would say have already been said by these three fabulous people, particularly that concept of confidence. Many of our theater kids find this is their home, this is their place, and they have that opportunity, whether they are second graders all the way up to adults, to have a whole separate community, a whole separate home. And I think that's important for, as Aaron said, to help that connection within the cast, within the crew, but also allows them to connect to an audience in a completely different mannerism.
Jenny?
Building off of what Addie said, because that's kind of what I was thinking about, is, you have your math and your English, and we have all these rules, which are beautiful, but then you apply it to the performing arts world, and that is a place where those things still exist, but you get to be creative and build on top of that, and you bring in emotion, and you bring in that drama, and you explore that, and kids they're allowed to make mistakes here. That's the beautiful thing about theater, is that all those things still exist, yes, but then in here, if they make an error, sometimes it's the right path. They get to choose a different path then. So in their head, they might think an error because it's not the way they were told to do it, but it might end up being a beautiful thing. Or, we explain, here's why I wouldn't do it that way, and we could do it a different way. And I believe Kim already said it, of the life skills. A lot of the times, whether they're crew or they're on stage, they have to think on their feet. It's live theater. When we're running rehearsals, yes, we can stop and fix things here and there or do it again. But as we get along in the rehearsal process, it's live, and they have to think on their feet. And that's, how many times do we have to do that in life, ourselves, just in the everyday world, is just thinking on our feet sometimes, and it doesn't go the way that we want to. So it challenges them to learn how to cope with change and things that don't go the way that we want them to sometimes.
And Michelle, why do you think the arts matter?
Besides everything that everybody else has said, it's such a safe place for kids, I think. I mean, where else can you, except for Halloween, dress up like SpongeBob, and it's totally normal, and also just creating this thing that at its very core is entertainment, but also life. People are here to experience a cool story that is making them happy. Kids putting it on and making connections with each other, that's making them happy. Like, it's just an experience that kind of brings everybody together. And I love the diversity we get with all the kids. You've got, sports kids, you've got farm kids, you've got anybody under the sun, and it's open to, and it's just such a different environment, I think, that really brings out something new in kids.
Now, I neglected to mention when we started the conversation that we are on stage here at the Engler Center for the Performing Arts, and last time I was here, I had the opportunity to sit facing out to the auditorium, and now today I have the very interesting perspective of I'm actually facing backstage from the stage, and I'm seeing a lot of artwork in different stages and a lot of set design going on. Could you somebody want to tackle that and talk about that from an artist perspective and how that gets brought into the whole performing arts as well?
That honestly can be a challenge.
Thank you, Charlotte.
So typically it starts with your director's vision as they start to read the script and think about blocking the script. Where do I want my students to be, standing, singing, all of that. The set kind of builds itself naturally around that vision. Then you have those people that maybe have the vision and have absolutely no idea how to make it come to life. So you bring in these wonderful people who are able to discuss how should this look? How can we make it work with what we have? What would we need to borrow? What would we need to buy? What would we need to create to make this structurally happen? And then continue to bring in people to make it come to life with the color and the added decoration and all those things that will make it, instead of just being a 2D piece of paper with what you think it should look like, actually come to life on stage. So it is definitely not a one-person job. You have multiple adults and multiple students that help make the vision, turn it into Under the Sea.
So how many of you here, show of hands, sorry listeners, you won't be able to see how many hands I see, but show of hands, how many of you have performed before in front of a live audience? Guess what? Everybody at the table has, listeners, so I assume that was going to be the answer. So with that that perspective, you had inspiration to perform when you did that, but what What inspires you to lead these programs that you're all responsible for today? And Aaron, I'm going to start with you on that one.
The reason why I do this is I enjoy seeing how the kids grow in their abilities throughout the course of the year. For example, I have the blessing of, or some people might not think it is, of teaching the beginner band students. And the first day that they open their instrument case and the look on their face, it's like Christmas morning. And they're so excited. And the first sounds that they make on that instrument are typically exactly what you think they sound like. But slowly but surely, as throughout the course of the year, they make tremendous progress. And if you compare, say, a video or an audio recording of those first few days' worth of sounds versus their last performance at the end of the school year, it's just very rewarding to feel like you've had some role in that, even though it's the kids' work that ultimately gets them there.
And I have to ask you then, what kind of level of increase some kids practice more than others, and some are blessed with more natural abilities than others, but overall, generally, what would you describe that level of growth being?
First start out, they don't know how to put the instrument together. Mm-hmm. From there, you go to being able to play a song that has maybe, an 8-note range. And I guess I don't know how musically sophisticated our audience is, but they'll play rhythms as fast as 8th notes, a few of them 16th notes. So I don't know, it's pretty popular to play like Ode to Joy, like the Beethoven's Ninth Melody, or something like We Will Rock You. They enjoy that. Mm-hmm. So,
Kim, from your perspective, what inspires you to do what you're doing?
The kids. I think Aaron kind of hit it on the head, and then I think about the experience that I had coming up in the area, but also with a very musical family, and then having really solid music educators myself growing up. I want that for our students. I want them to be able to have those same exact experiences, maybe differently, obviously, now because of our time and age, so that they grow in their musical ability and confidence, but gain also an understanding in addition to their love. So that someday in their adult life, when they are maybe down or over the top or over the top of with happiness, whatever, what have you not, they can use music in some way, shape, or form. They can sing to their babies and rock them to sleep and feel confident and just love and nurture their baby. They can grieve with their family at a funeral, but can do it through song and connect to the song. So I think that's what really leads me to teaching, to staying with everything within the arts. It's that I want that the students here to be able to have that love and foundation so that they can utilize it as they need throughout their lives and love it the way we do, the way I do.
And Michelle, what about you? What is out there that just inspires you so much to do what you do every day?
Very similar to what these two have already said, but even the experiences that I have gained throughout the course of my life being a musician, the places I've traveled, the people I've met, the things that I've gotten to do, it's not just about the music. Through music, you're making connections, and there's something so amazing about being with a band and playing a piece that is so meaningful and so beautiful, and delving into why the piece is the way it is and what it's about, and then feeling this collective emotion together and doing that. It's just, you can't even really describe that feeling. And it's just so cool, to see kids really appreciate that. They come from learning these first 5 notes, and then through the years, we're looking back on music, and they're like, I remember when that song was hard, and now they're playing these crazy things that are just performing on stage. and doing things they never thought they could do before. And it's just so cool to watch them grow.
Jenny, what about you?
For me, like everybody, it's really personal. For me, what's inspiring is just knowing how much the performing arts and just arts in general really helped me through my life, in some really tough times, but also in really happy times. You kind of get to, it goes with you through all the emotions of life. And there's so many times that I can really sit here and think about like how therapeutic it has been for me through my life. And I just want to make sure that, the kids who might not, be, maybe the sports are not their thing, or, an academic team is not their thing, and we welcome everybody here, but maybe this is their one thing. And it's just so inspiring to me because I was one of those kids when I was younger that just really needed, that was my one thing. And it's just really inspiring to know that we can offer that for other kids and kids now, and just keeping that going.
I want to build on your answer there for just a second, Jenny, and I'll come back to everybody else. But how does that transpose itself into working in reverse? You're now working with kids that are looking to you for that support and that growth opportunity. How does that make you feel, and what kind of things does it make you want to be able to do with the kids and to help them along?
I guess it makes me want to try a little bit of everything with them. There's kids that come in here, and while I don't do a lot of the set building anymore, there's kids who come in and have never touched a tool in their life, but they're really artistic and they want to help and they have that ambition. So just seeing them come in with a want and a desire, and they might be really, really shy, but being able to teach them something new, and then they get confident, or grow confidence based on that. Also offering them a place where it's okay to explore emotion. There's so many things during the day, even as adults, expressing emotion while you're at work or in school, it does not feel appropriate to do that, right? Because you have a task, you have something to do, and you need to get stuff done. And this space offers, a space to feel a little bit more comfortable to explore those things. And I think just seeing kids grow so much from, you might ask me about this later, but like student leadership, I have the privilege of advising that. And I get to see kids who have never, ever led a play or a production in their entire lives. They've always either been on stage or backstage. And then they come into that, and they look at me with their big eyes of like, okay, what do we have to do first? And it's like, okay, well, we have to sit down, and here's all the magazines, look through all of that. Let's try to narrow it down to 5 that we really like as a group, and then just talking them through the steps of, how do we pick our director? Okay, how are we going to do auditions? What is casting? And then doing the costuming, and just watching them kind of build, and then they get to do this piece at the end that, they can say they did it from the beginning, and the growth that they have, not just from that piece coming to fruition, but the growth that they have as people with their communication, creative skills, and like I said before, thinking on their feet and having to just turn on a dime and figure it out. Again, it kind of goes back and forth of inspiring them, and they also inspire me, which I know everybody here would say that they inspire us too. So, yeah.
And Addie, what about you? What inspires you?
Kind of adding off to what everyone else has said, I think something that really inspires me is just seeing the kids, one, have a huge appreciation for music, whether it started at the beginning of the year that they didn't care for it, up until the end of the year saying, I kind of want to learn this piano piece. And I've had students already wanting to do that for kids that I never thought would want to play piano with me. But just them having that appreciation, and then just also telling them that I see something in you and I want you to keep doing it. Because there's kids out there that will probably never have someone tell them that I see this in you, or I know you can do it. And it's really hard. And I want to be that person for them. And I've seen so many students grow with me just saying, you got this, or hey, you should go pursue this, or go look into this, try this instead. And they come back and it's a whole new perspective with them. And it just makes me so happy that they want to try those new things, because they see that validation from someone that's not mom and dad or a friend. They're seeing it from a teacher or someone that they probably never even know. So it just really inspires me that they just want to keep pushing because they have that person to push them.
And Charlotte, I'm not going to let you off easy by just letting you answer the same question. I want to redirect it a little bit. You work with the older students here in the school district. You have the good fortune of working with high school age students. So you have some 18-year-olds in there. You have some young adults already in your productions, I'm sure. What inspires you about that age group coming forward and kind of taking those steps into adulthood while they're learning the stage and the craft of theater and acting? What kind of things inspire you about that?
High schoolers are a lot of fun to work with in the theater. They are often the most, at first, unwilling to try something new because they are a little more aware of their peers watching their every move than the little ones are when we're working with the elementary musical. Our elementary musical kids will swing their arms and dance and sing out loud, whereas our high schoolers tend to be a little more hesitant to try some of those things. And honestly, that's what then inspires me as they build that confidence in themselves and their character. And we work through a lot of that character development, which is a really fun thing to do. When they're older, they have the ability to think a little more deeply about, why would my character do this? And therefore, how do I portray that in a believable way on stage? In a way that isn't so small that the audience isn't going to tell, what we call TV or movie acting, where it's all on their face, but because the camera is really close. But in theater acting, how can I make that bigger, more expressive, without being so over the top that you're no longer believable? And we get to work with a lot of that nuance and having the students, like Jenny had said, try something new, make some decisions, make some choices about how you want to say this line. Does it work that way? Let's try it a different way. How are you portraying your character, and how are you getting your point across to the audience when you try it in different ways, when you move your body in a different way, your voice goes a different way, the level of your voice, how you are emoting all of your music. It's so fun to watch them grow from the beginning, from people who are maybe a little, I'm just going to say the lines because I'm not sure how I want to do this, or I don't want my friends to think I look weird or anything like that, to what you finally see in their final production. And they have just absolutely blossomed. And it's interesting to see that, as especially those ones that we see as elementary school kiddos, and they grow and they grow and they grow to the point where students where I've had to say something to the year before, hey, I want you to try it this way, or be bigger, or approach it in this direction, then the next year they're automatically trying that, going, oh, you learned something, you listened. But yeah, I really just like the growth that those high schoolers show, and then the willingness to be creative by the time we get at this point in the production season.
I'm guessing you all have seen some sort of unique thing happen in someone's life, and while they're on stage and performing and rehearsing, kind of a step forward in their lives. Anybody want to share maybe an anecdote or a story about something that they've seen and that really has hit you in the heart, or hit home with you, that you thought, my goodness, this person has really stepped forward as a human being? Is there anybody that has anything? Charlotte?
I love every single year when the second graders, because it's their first time on stage, the very first time they walk off stage after their first performance and they have gotten applause, oh my gosh, I think they're 10 feet taller and their chests are puffed out. They think they are the coolest thing in the entire world. I love that moment when they truly realize how cool what they just did was, and how much the audience appreciates that.
Anyone else with any thought?
I think
Kim?
When you have a student that's more reserved and timid, and I've seen this at multiple levels. We're all kind of, just for perspective, we all help out at various points and levels in everybody's show, or have been involved in each of the levels of shows at different points in time. And when you have that kid that's very quiet and reserved, kind of the underdog, all of a sudden get that main part, and they're kind of like, holy poop moment, for lack of better words, where, okay, I got this, I did it, and then they get that role. I think of one just 2 years ago when we did Seussical, and the student, they did such a great job of singing beautifully their role, but that confidence, you could tell, it was really something to struggle with. They struggled with. And when you see them finally exude that confidence and finally feel like, oh my goodness, did it take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and work to help them get them there and see and believe in themselves? Yes. Was it worth every single moment? Absolutely. Because finally, by the time we got to the production, it was like, okay, if your mom and dad aren't crying, I'm crying right now because I know where you started and how hard you fought to get to where you are now. And that, in many cases, has happened over the years and is just pretty dang cool to see that.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. To hear the rest of our conversation, please go to episode 66.